Good morning and welcome to Connecticut, where today we're going to see if we can make some Portuguese Pimenta, which is a hot pepper sauce that is used in Portuguese cooking and by my friends and I as kind of a condiment as well. So we start with these red hot peppers that you can see right here, just a standard red hot pepper. I've got, as you can see here, 2 big boxes of them, and I'm going to try to make enough pepper sauce for me and a couple friends. Some of the tools that I'm going to be using today are, as you can see, I've kind of set up with my sawhorses and a piece of plywood. I set up a table outside here because this stuff is pretty messy and you don't want to get it all over the house. I've got a traditional hand grinder right here, and my hand grinder has 3 different size grinders. I've got the small, the medium, and the large. I'm going to actually use the medium to start to make sure it looks pretty good. I may have to change to a larger or small, and I'll let you know along the way, but I'm going to start with medium. I also have these gloves, which are very important because you don't want to get this stuff on your hands. I'm going to use the knife and cutting board so that I can take the seeds out, because I do remove the seeds and the stem. I'm going to grind everything into this pan, which I think fits under here, and then I'm going to transfer it into this bigger plastic bin, which is still wet from just getting washed, and then we'll show you how to ferment it and then bottle it. Okay, so now I'm in the process of washing the peppers. Just going to wash them up here in this metal tin with just some clean water from the hose, and then I'm stacking them up over there when they're clean. Okay, so we're in the process now of cutting off. As you can see, I just cut off the top of the pepper, and I slice the pepper open like so, and then just kind of dump out all the seeds. Okay, now we're in the process of actually grinding up the pepper. As you can see, the grinds in here, they're coming out a little chunky, but not too big, which is kind of the consistency you're looking for. There's a lot of liquid in here, a little juice, and then a lot of chunks. You can see a few of the seeds in there on the top. That's not a bad thing to have a couple seeds. Okay, we've moved indoors now for phase 2, and what you see here is about a cup of kosher salt and a plastic spoon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add to the mash, basically, all the crushed red pepper, which is in this big plastic bowl. We're going to add the cup of salt. My mom, who is 80 years old, has told me that I should use 2 cups of kosher salt for this amount of peppers. Although at this point I'm not necessarily sure I'm going to do that, because I just think that might be too much, but I may add it later because she's probably right. So as you can see, we're going to just kind of add the salt all over. We're going to end up mixing it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so this spice is used in a lot of traditional Portuguese cooking. And when I was in college, my roommates decided they liked it so much they were just going to use it like ketchup on things. So I had never seen it done that way, but I figured since then I've also started to do that too. Alright, so as you can see, this looks like a lot of salt, and it is. So I'm just going to leave it at that with 1 cup or so right now. I'm going to kind of mix this in now, and then we begin the fermentation process. So what's going to happen is this is going to sit here in the cool basement. I am going to cover this with just loosely with some cardboard or something. This is going to sit here in the basement for probably the next 3 to 5 days. And what ends up happening is this does ferment, and it's going to bubble and boil and do all that stuff. And once it starts to calm down, after the fermentation process is over, I will then jar it. So we'll be back in a couple days to see how it's boiling. Good morning. It's been about 48 hours since we crushed the peppers, and they've been fermenting in the basement. And what I'm going to do now is remove the cover. I did not film yesterday's stir, but after 24 hours I did the same thing. I did a stir. So you can see now we've got a nice white kind of crust forming on top of the peppers, and that is the whole fermentation process happening. And I'm going to go through, and you can see the bubbling that's going on here. So there's some good fermentation happening here. And I'm just going to go through and actually stir all this up. Tomorrow is day 3, so I'm going out today and getting some jars to put this in so we could start jarring it up. I won't be able to do the jarring up until this active boiling part that we're looking at here completes. So Mom says that that should take 3 days. It could take 4, depending on the peppers. So you can see here we've got a lot of bubbling going on here. So this is definitely not ready to be bottled yet. And we'll be back tomorrow to see what it looks like. Hey, we're back in the basement, and I just wanted to let you know that I went out today and got some jars for putting these fermented red pepper sauce into. Stopped by a local store and picked up this one, which you just don't have to buy this actually. You can, a lot of spaghetti sauce jars look exactly like this. But this jar has a screw lid, it has a little rubber kind of gasket on the inside. That's something, and it's about, I want to say, looks like it's about a quart. That's something that I'll use in the fridge. So I'll put the pepper sauce in this about 3/4 of the way up, put a little bit of olive oil on the top, and that'll be screwed together and put into the fridge. So the fermentation process will stop and you shouldn't get a lot of pressure in that one. This jar is a little different in that it's got this kind of clamping lid on here. I plan on filling this up and then putting some oil on the top, not using the rubber gasket that you see at the bottom here. That allows it to breathe a little more, and that will be staying in the basement in a cool, dry area. And that's how I'll keep the pepper sauce in my basement. This larger jar, as you can see here, I went to a local market and a deli / meat market, and the owner there was willing to sell me these old pickle jars, and it's about a gallon size. And this one I bought for $2. Lit up and put a little olive oil on the top, and that's how I plan on storing this. That's the way my mom always did it for years and years. And this, in a cool, dry basement, she was able to keep this stuff in the basement for a year or 2 years even, because she didn't make the pepper sauce every year. Good morning. It is Thursday, and we started this process on Monday. And as you can see, there's another white crust kind of forming on top of my peppers. And I'm going to start to stir them up to see what the fermentation process looks like. And you can see that we still got a lot of good bubbling going on here. As a matter of fact, it looks stronger than it did yesterday when we filmed yesterday. So my mom told me that this would take 3 or 4 days before the fermentation process was complete. And I'm thinking, based on how much bubbling I see going on right here, that we still need to let this sit for another day. So I kind of figured that when I walked in the basement this morning to come down here to look and do this, I could smell the fermentation still going. For any of you who have ever made wine, you know that smell that's in the air when things are fermenting. And this still had a very small, very strong kind of fermenting smell in the basement. So I'm gonna let this sit for another day, and before we think about bottling. Again, you can see all that bubbling that's going on. Well, good Friday afternoon. It is Friday, and we started this process again on Monday. So we're going to kind of take a look. We've got a nice white crust forming on this again. But as we can see here, as I stir through this, we are getting some amount of bubbling, but not as much active bubbling as we had yesterday. So it still looks pretty bubbly, but it looks actually like it's calming down quite a bit. So my thought is I could probably bottle this today and not cover it up. In other words, allow it to potentially complete its fermentation process in the bottles, or I could wait till tomorrow and bottle it. So since I've got plans for tomorrow, I'm thinking I'm going to actually bottle it today, because as you can see, as I stir through this now, there's really not much residual bubbles that are left. It's more just a little bit of foam that came up, and there's no active bubbling going on. So I'm thinking we're ready to rock and roll here. So what I've got right now is I've got this wide funnel, which is going to allow me to, and then of course a soup ladle, so that I can actually go ahead and start putting it into the bottles that I have previously shown you guys. Okay, so now I'm in the basement again and have decided that it is Friday. I am going to bottle this, so you can see my wide lid there. So that's been put up there. I've got about 4 scoops of this in there so far, and I'm going to put the 5th one in. And you can see that the bottle is not quite full yet. This is going to be a gift. I'm going to kind of try to put it so that it's almost full. You see that? That leaves me room for a little bit of olive oil that I'm going to put on the top of that bottle. Well, we're done with the bottling. You can see I got the 2 more decorative bottles in the front that screw on caps, and the 2 with the pressure lids in the back are full. I got 1 of my gallon containers full. I got 2 of these smaller, like spaghetti jars full, and then I had enough left over to do about 3/4 of that jar of like a spaghetti jar as well. So that's what I got. And if you look at that, that's probably at least 2.5 gallons of the pepper sauce based on those 2 big boxes that we did. The fermentation process is just about complete. I am going to leave the bottles open down here in the basement one more day, and then I'll stir them up, make sure they're good, and then dump a little olive oil on it to kill that rest of that fermentation process. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm probably going to put something out there on the internet on how to actually cook something with this sauce, but we'll have to see if there's any reaction to this. Thanks.